let me just say, maybe if you start off, you rolling?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Pau Gasol. I love classical music, or
Sure.
I love music, or I'm here to talk about music, something like that, and then I'll
Sure.
just cut in there when you're ready.
Okay. To you or
Yeah, forget about the
okay.
the camera. It's just you
So
and me.
Well, I'm Pau Gasol, and I love music, and I'm here to talk about classical music, opera, and my love for it, and my feelings about it.
Hmm. And have you had the opportunity to go to symphony music throughout your life?
Not throughout my life, but
Where did it start?
where did it start?
Your
Well, it
mom is a
started at home.
doc, I understand. So
Yes, my mom is a doctor, and my dad is a nurse. But they both had an appreciation for music. So at home, I would hear it, I would listen to it, because my parents had it on. So Mozart, Beethoven, were the two options and the two choices that they played quite frequently. And then I was given a chance to study piano and music when I was 8.
I should say on the way in, Pau just gave a piano student who's about 10 the picture of his life. We interrupted his piano lesson,
I know.
and Pau got a picture with him, or he got a picture with you.
Exactly, both. Well, we both got a picture with each other. He's keeping it. So yeah, when I was 8, I started taking 5 years of piano and also music at the same time. And that's where my appreciation and love for music started. And after I had to kind of give it up for basketball and studying. So in life you got to make choices, and you got to make, I guess, sacrifices in order to continue to advance in other fields, and that's what I did. And ultimately I had to give up studying for a basketball period and dedicate myself to it fully, and it paid off, luckily, even though my parents were not very excited at the time. So yeah, med school was also one of the sacrifices that I've made in my life in order to fulfill and pursue my dreams as a basketball player. But nevertheless, my appreciation for both and passion for both, I guess, fields, music and medicine, is still very much alive in me, and I still like to be exposed to it as much as I can.
Well, what we in San Antonio have wanted your input on, and why you're hopefully going to join our advisory board, is how we best appeal to younger audiences, Gen X, millennials, and whatnot, whether in programming or in our image to them as to what music is. When did you find out it was okay or cool to like classical music? Or is that European and not as much American?
Well, I think, I don't know. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I think for me, I grew up with it. I developed a taste and an appreciation for it. And a lot of people just don't get exposed to it. They don't get an opportunity to really discover the beauty behind music. And it's not for everyone. I'm not saying everyone is going to love it, but
at least get exposed to it.
Exactly.
So would you appeal to parents in San Antonio, regardless of where they live?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think like in most
take your kids to the San Antonio Symphony?
Absolutely, I would. I would encourage them to do that, because you never know how how your kid is going to feel. And I think as a parent, you want to give your children opportunities to discover what their paths are and what their passions might be. And music might be something that they love, and it's a big part of them throughout their lives. Maybe not professionally, but as a fan, because music has a deep effect, I think, in people, and it just touches you. It touches you, not everyone in the same way, but it kind of calms you. It's calming, it's peaceful, it's rewarding.
Let me just have a break here, okay? And what I want you to insert when you're talking about music is the word San Antonio Symphony,
Sure.
and get that into the lingo
Okay.
of your answers, and that
Sure.
way, as this B-roll is used beyond, it will relate not generically to music, but more specifically to the San Antonio Symphony.
Sounds good.
Let me ask you a question that Ernest has of you, and that is, you ready? So what have you found your love of music has added to your quality of life? How has it and how have you passed it on? Or if, when you have kids, how would you pass it on to others?
Well, to me, it fulfills me, completes me as a person. It brings me peace. It allows me to decompress. It gives me balance in my life. So
at home, would there be classical music playing?
yeah, of course. We have.
Wish we had recordings of the San Antonio Symphony for you to play.
Right. There's a lot of music back home. There's a couple of theaters that are beautiful that I like to go to, that I just love. I mean, I love the history of them as well. I love the beauty of the buildings and the acoustics. I think in everything, every little detail has an impact on the fan or whoever goes there to experience the music. But to me, music is very, very calming. It provides, like I said, a lot of peace. And I would pass it on for sure to my children, and I try to bring my friends, my family, and my teammates even, which is a little harder at times. But I even try to bring teammates to concerts and opera, because I feel it's something that they haven't explored and they really haven't. And like I said, some might not appreciate it, but some actually said, hey, you know what? I'm going to want to come back again.
Have you been to the Palau in
Palau de la
Barcelona?
Música? Yes.
Is that one of the theaters
Yes.
of your favorites?
Yeah, Palau de la Música and El Liceu are the two theaters that I like, that I love, that I enjoy going, and that I support as much as I can as well.
What was your first then experience, you think, with classical music? Getting back to what you said before, your mom and dad passed it on to you, but then it must have clicked somewhere in there, and you said, or maybe you got the goosebump one day and you said, gosh, that affected me.
Well, I just felt a connection to it. I felt, like I said, peace, harmony, beauty. And that's what it made me feel. And playing the piano and playing for 5 years, I got to be pretty good at 13. And just hearing the music and feeling the music. One thing is hearing it and listening to it. The other thing is feeling it, right? It's a different position. But I always felt just a level of beauty and connection that it's been special.
So what would you say to the youngsters of San Antonio to encourage them to tell their parents, hey, I'm Pau Gasol, I'm an NBA star, I love music, make your parents take me to the San Antonio Symphony?
What I would tell them is to to tell their parents, say, take me to the symphony, take me to the San Antonio Symphony, and let me discover that world, let me discover the music that they play there, and let's see how it is. I think that's something that
every year the symphony plays before 40,000 students,
and that's beautiful. And I would encourage the symphony to continue to do that as much as possible and make it 50,000 the next year, and continue to grow and touch more people, more kids, and maybe of all those thousands of kids, even if it's a small percentage, you're gonna get an audience, right? Coming to your building, coming to your performances, and hopefully a demand from the city, from the community. You know what? Next year I want to hear this production. I want to have this composer in, or I want to have this director, this musician. And
Well, speaking of those musicians, you wanted to always hear Domingo when he came. Did you ever get a chance at the two times? Both? I
really tried to first sabotage the first concert, and I feel like I did. With my comments on the media saying who in the world would schedule a concert with Placido Domingo in San Antonio, which he would probably come maybe once every 10 years or 20 years, who knows, with the opening night of the San Antonio Spurs. It doesn't make any sense. So whoever organized it, I think, got the message and said, you know what, maybe he's right. Maybe we got to reschedule. Unfortunately, the second time that they scheduled the concert, it was a time that we played a game in Memphis. It was a back-to-back game, and I went obviously with the team to do my job, and I missed the concert. But I got a chance to see Placido right after our home game that we played that night against Cleveland, and we had dinner by the Riverwalk with him and his wife and his team, his son,
and his
so
son.
forth.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a 45 minutes together, but it was great to see him. I'll see him in Barcelona probably on May 20th. He has a gala, a concert and a dinner gala for at Liceu at the theater, and I'll probably see him also at the festival of Peralada, which is a festival of classical music and opera in the north of Catalonia. I think it'll be at the end of August, if I'm not mistaken.
Does your brother Mark also
He does enjoy
share
it.
your appreciation?
Maybe not as much. You know, he's a father of 2 children, and that thing that limits you quite a bit. It takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication and energy out of you. I don't have that privilege yet.
You will.
I hope. But it does give me more flexibility in order to do more things, more freedom, as I have had for pretty much my entire life or adulthood. But Mark goes to the opera every now and again, at least once every summer. I try to get him, Mark, come, and he wants to come, and he loves theater with his wife, and they go a couple times a year, but he can't go as much as I go.
I want you, if you would, look at the camera.
Sure.
And tell the camera, tell the kids of San Antonio how much you love music. Point at the camera. I love music, and I want you to love music, and I want you to come to the San Antonio Symphony. If that means you tell your parents to do something like that, okay? Go ahead and tell the camera that.
All right.
I'm out of it.
All right. I'm Pau Gasol, and I love classical music. I love music, and I want you to give it a chance. I want you to go to Symphony in San Antonio. Tell your parents to take you. It'll be a great experience. I hope you really enjoy it. Give it a chance. It's beautiful. Hope it touches you as much as it touched me in my life, and you're gonna love it. I just know it.
Thanks. I have another question for you. You're here on the 300th anniversary of Spain's founding. Today.
Is it today?
San Antonio.
Was founded today?
Today.
Oh my God.
300 years ago.
Where's the champagne? Let's celebrate.
What did you learn about Texas, USA, or Texas, let's just say, Texas, Mexico, when you were in school?
Not
Any
much.
of that?
Nothing.
Any of that? Any of the explorers?
No.
Your
Well,
country
Columbus.
was,
Yes.
well, but I mean your country had.
Right, yeah, it had a lot of, well, it was a pretty powerful empire, right? Probably the biggest during a certain period of time in the history of humankind.
Happy birthday, San Antonio.
Happy birthday, absolutely. Happy birthday, San Antonio. We actually went to the Museum of Art yesterday, and because they're going to get a huge Spanish collection for, I think, 3 months, starting in, I think, June 21st is going to be the opening, and until, I think they told me, September 12th, 15th. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss it. It looks that way. But we did a nice tour yesterday of the collection they have with a lot of Mexican influence, right? The Mexican artists that were here in the 1700s or were in Mexico in the influence of the Spanish at that time. So they're also celebrating the 300th anniversary of the city, which was, I think it's pretty special, and it's kind of fun and cool at the same time. And I gotten to know the history more when I've been here in San Antonio, when I visited the Alamo.
That's ironic.
When I visit, yeah, right.
You learn about Spain when you're in Texas.
Well, hey, what are you going to do? I mean, Spain has had a meaningful presence in this country and influence, right?
Big time. The
world as well, for sure.
Speaking of the world, I mean, one last thing I wanted to just say to you. When I think of Spain, I put down my little list of Spanish important musicians and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
The people that we know, Andres Segovia, Pablo Casals, the cellist, the other
amazing
guitarist,
Pau Gasol.
of course Gaudi, Domingo Picasso, Albanese, De Falla, and Granados, and Rodrigo. Rodrigo, every year we seem to have, or every other year we have the Rodrigo guitar,
Nice.
Concerto, and my daughter plays solo. It's really
Right.
kind of cool. But you come from a great country with
A lot of good
great heritage, musical
absolutely.
heritage.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, I guess we've had a lot of great history of great musicians, great artists in the music world, and the painting, architectural. Now it's more the athletes and the chefs.
Yeah.
Great chefs now, great wines and so forth. But we do have a lot of culture, and I guess the heritage and the impact in the world has been, I think, quite big. So it's something to be proud of.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're proud of you, and I want to thank you so much for being on camera with us here with the San Antonio Symphony, and for being a Spur.
Thank you.
And we hope you come back and enjoy your life here as long as you can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pau. Yeah, you want something else?
Yeah, just one more thing. Just one more take on pitching the symphony. There's a tagline that we've been sort of playing around with. I'm not sure if we're going to use it or not, but it would be great if we can film you saying it. You use the word discovery a lot in this interview. And the tagline is discover what moves you.
Mm-hmm. Like that.
So we're talking to a 38-year-old, someone more or less your age, doesn't really go to symphony, but goes to music events like rock and roll,
other concert
western
type of music.
But so the idea is to pitch this person. They're curious kind of people, willing to experiment. So, in your words, how would you talk to this millennial Gen X person and ask them to discover what moves you with the San Antonio Symphony? That's it.
All right.
Pointing again. That's good.
All right. So, hi, I'm Pau Gasol, and I would want you to discover what moves you. I would want you, and I would encourage you to discover what moves you. And one of the things that moves me is music, but also, more specifically, classical music, and the music that is being played at the San Antonio Symphony. So I would really encourage you to experience it, to discover it, and to enjoy it.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
You're welcome.
Kathleen, anything that you would?
Perfect. No, perfect.
Okay.
Just perfect.
Nicholas,
Yeah.
you're up.
Could we both be on?
He's gonna,
Oh, sure.
he's gonna go
Go
on
ahead,
the
go ahead.
couch, and you can take
Yeah, you
that,
can,
and you can take your other mic.
Okay. And then I'll just make sure this stuff is off camera. Hopefully I can see it.
Tell me when it's on. Is it on?
Yep.
Okay.
It's on.
Yeah. Move all those.
Hi,
Throw 'em on-
Hi,
throw 'em
how are
on
you?
the ground.
I'm good. A lot of pressure on this side of the camera.
A lot of pressure.
It's not a lip mic, but it's about right here. Okay.
I could just sing. Do you know any songs that we could sing?
For you?
Speaking of which, one thing I've been curious about, and Jim touched on this earlier, but is there a specific piece of music or opera or performance that really opened it up to you for yourself beyond the Mozart and Beethoven that your parents exposed you to?
Yeah, I guess when it comes to opera, my first opera was Tosca. So that opera really, I guess, touched me, and now I've watched it 3 or 4 times. I like to watch and listen to the different arias from Tosca, and I've discovered that world that has been quite amazing, to be honest, and touching and fulfilling and just beautiful. Just a specific, unique beauty that that form of art and music provided and provides.
Yeah.
So in Tosca, I guess, did the trick for me.
And I'm glad you touched on that, because there's such deep narrative, and in opera in particular,
Yes.
and I think in classical music as well,
Absolutely.
and I think in sports as well. There's tragedy, there's comedy, and there are narratives, deep narratives that get us involved as the thing unfolds, and nobody knows how it's going to end,
Right.
Including the players.
Right.
Do you see an important confluence between music that you might see at the San Antonio Symphony, music that you might see in your hometown, and the performance that's happening on the floor of a basketball arena or a football field?
Well, I think that the most important part of those, the connection, it's the passion that you can feel and perceive from the artist, from the player, because that's something that moves you, that touches you, right? If you can appreciate that, Music, just as sports and other fields and other forms of art, which I consider both forms of art, you can perceive the passion, the devotion, the craft, the talent, the uniqueness of whatever that person is doing, and hopefully you enjoy it, and that's why you're there, and you want to see more of it, or it's just something that maybe it's. I don't appreciate it as much, and I appreciate other things. Which then you should focus on other things, right? Because life is short, as I like to say. So yeah, there's definitely a resemblance. There's a lot of emotion to it, and I think that's also the beauty of it. And yes, sometimes the piece might make you feel happy, excitement, or darkness and sadness, and touch a part of you that has experienced or has similar feelings towards that. And sports and basketball, for instance, also it's when you win and you play well and your team is winning, you're thrilled, you're full of joy and happiness and excitement. And when your team loses, when it's a really bad game or it's a very hard loss, you feel devastated or in a bad mood. Cranky even, right? And that you take those feelings also with you. So I think that's just what life is about. You got to put yourself in experiences that make you feel alive, that make you feel something that's important to you and that moves you.
Mm-hmm. And so you said that's beautiful. And you said music brings you calm, peace, you can experience beauty and joy, and also these other emotions.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, some people get so into sports, they know your scoring average from, 2003.
Right.
Were you on the Bulls at that point?
2003 I was with the Grizzlies, Memphis.
Yes, thank you. So, somebody might be able to cite that off the top of their head, but still be intimidated by not knowing enough about the symphony, say, to go, or to the opera, not know the narratives or the stories. What can we, how can we approach allowing people to feel more comfortable with not knowing what to expect or not really knowing about it? Like if I go to a Spurs game and I don't know anything about the game of basketball.
Right. Well, I would say to you that it's okay not to know. We are not born knowing everything, and the beauty of life that you can learn if you're open enough to it. And you can learn at any time of anything. And I didn't know anything about opera when I started going. I mean, I knew a couple of things. The three tenors. I know if you tell me the most, I guess, known operas, famous operas, I would know the names. But I never went to one, right? So at the time when Placido invited me, and that's what it took for me to finally take that final step, because I had an interest. I said, I would like to go, but I would never make it to it. So when I received Placido's invitation, when I got traded to Los Angeles, that was it. I can't turn this down. This is an impossible invitation to turn down. So I went, and once I went, I made it something pretty regular for me to go to, and then I would look at the website and where the production's coming in, where is the schedule, how does it adjust with my schedule, and make sure that I didn't miss operas that I wanted to go watch and listen to. So yeah, don't be scared of the unknown. That's kind of the message. Just have an open mind. There's a lot of beauty out there, and sometimes just because we don't like to get out of our comfort zone, we fail to experience a lot of the beauty that is out there, and discover adventure. Sometimes it's classical music, sometimes it's opera, sometimes it's tap dancing, Spanish guitar, cello. I've said a few things, but there's plenty of things that people should get out of their comfort zones and the things that they know, whether they're basketball stats or football stats or golf, whatever is their hobby, which is fine. They can keep that, but there's more to it. There's more depth to it, and I think that's just the beauty of life. Just getting to discover things that you connect with.
Yeah, and then we can have that experience with multiple kinds of music.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you hear all kinds of music amongst your friends and in the locker room. Do your fellow players think you're weird?
Well, I feel a lot of the times my teammates wonder what is my pregame music. It's like, oh, I'm sure he's listening to classical music while they're listening to rap, and I'm actually most of the time I listen to rap as well before games or R&B music. But they wonder if I'm actually listening to classical or an opera or something even before a game, which is usually something that's high adrenaline, high level of focus, aggressiveness, and so forth, in order to go out there and compete against the best players in the world. But a lot of the other times when I'm in a more calm mood or in a different setup, then I do like to enjoy classical music. That just, again, it balances me. It gives me a certain level of calmness that I need, that it just fulfills me and balances me in my life.
That's wonderful. And last question. Mm-hmm. So, since we learned that you'd be joining the Symphony's advisory board, I've had the pleasure of speaking to several musicians in the San Antonio Symphony who are big Spurs fans.
That's wonderful.
They talk about the scores of the games during intermission. They follow the entire season. And I've asked them what it means to them to have a fan on the Spurs. And so let me ask you, what do you think it means to those musicians to have a fan on the Spurs organization, which means as much to San Antonio and is as iconic for the city as they do?
Well, first of all, to me, it's always an honor to find people and meet people that appreciate your craft and your talent, what you do. It's a gift. And then if you can admire mutually, then it's even better, because I got to meet a lot of people that I admired, that admired me back, and we developed nice friendships and relationships, and I think it's something that it's a beautiful connection there, especially when you admire each other's crafts, right? So yeah, I've had an opportunity to meet with the orchestra, musicians of the LA Symphony, the Chicago Symphony, in Barcelona as well, and it's really nice because they're really excited to see me. I'm excited to meet them because I'm there to listen to them and see what they do, and it's great because I don't know. I hope it makes them feel well as well, that they're appreciated, that people from all kinds of, I guess, jobs and professions admire them and appreciate their craft, and I don't know. To me, it's what it makes me feel. It makes me feel privileged to do something that people can appreciate and love.
Very well said. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Okay.
All right.